Welcome to the Arun Church podcast, where our mission is bringing life to everyone, everywhere, every day. Each podcast episode features the latest talk from our church, which are released weekly. We're passionate about Jesus, love to worship together, and are committed to changing our community for the better. Connect with us at arunchurch.com.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, that's a reasonably warm response. Thank you. So we are talking. I was a bit surprised. Yeah, normally I have to do that 3 or 4 times. That's great. We are continuing our series, Things We Didn't Learn at School. We've been doing that all year, and today we're talking about Sabbath, the day of rest, the 7th day of the week. And Tom's done a great job introducing that to the children, talking about on the 7th day of creation, God rested. I have brought my home office shredder this morning. Who's got one of these things? Oh, a few people, yeah, great. They're good at shredding documents. Becca is not around this week, so I have brought half of the office documents with me to shred this morning. They are in this box here. All kinds of dodgy deals, illicit contracts, that kind of thing we're going to shred. But I do need some help doing some shredding. Any volunteers to come and do this while I talk? No volunteers at all. Anybody I can pick on? Yeah, come on, Cara. That would be really helpful. Up you come here. It is a normal shredder. Obviously, don't put your fingers into it. That's quite obvious. It does work, I think. Let's find out. It's not exactly fast. There we go. Now, Cara, I've got about 15, 20 minutes to talk. If you could get through that, that'd be really helpful. It's all documents. I think you probably get 2 or 3 sheets in at a time. I wouldn't do much more than that, but if you can continuously feed that, that'd be really helpful, and just kind of keep that going. Okay? Yeah, here we go. Oh, there we go. Okay, great. So we're gonna leave that alone. We're starting today with a problem, and the problem is life is busy, right? Life is busy. Now, there's some great things about living in the age that we live in. The smartphone. Smartphone, anyone? Give us a wave if you've got one of these devices. Yeah, most people in the room. They are brilliant, aren't they? At any time of the day, I can go on there, I can do my shopping. I can order a taxi or an Uber. I can get takeaway delivered to whichever location I'm at. I can go online and see what my friends are up to. I can send messages. I can get emails. I can access the wealth of the world's knowledge and information online at any given time. It is incredible. But with that amazing ability comes quite a lot of problems, because the world nowadays never stops. It's never off. You can't switch it off. I mean, you can switch your phone off, but the constant barrage of information and demands on you, they don't stop. Our society and culture is built on the premise of production. We produce things and we consume things. Production and consumption. That's what it's all about. We produce and we consume. We produce and we consume. And we are sold hundreds of thousands of advertising messages every single day. We see them on TV, we hear them on the radio, we see them online, we see them in newspapers. Everything we are being sold all the time is to make us produce and consume. We go to work and we produce things for our employer. And if you get all of your work done, you never get all your work done, do you? Anybody? Never finish. There's always something else. There's always more. There's demand after demand after demand. We produce and we consume. We produce to consume, in fact. And it never stops. But the thing is, many scholars have realized over the centuries that this kind of production and consumption is unhealthy for us as people, as individuals. It's not good for us. And I love this quote from Thomas Merton. He was a Trappist monk in the last century. And he said this: "There is a pervasive form of contemporary violence to which the idealist most easily succumbs: activism and overwork. The rush and pressure of modern life are a form, perhaps the most common form, of its innate violence. To allow oneself to be carried away by a multitude of conflicting concerns. To surrender to too many demands. to commit oneself to too many projects, to want to help everyone in everything, is to succumb to violence. The frenzy of our activism neutralizes our work for peace. It destroys our own inner capacity for peace. It destroys the fruitfulness of our own work because it kills the root of inner wisdom which makes work fruitful. Ouch. Did anything resonate with you in that? The bit about committing oneself to too many projects, to want to help everyone in everything, is to succumb to violence. When I first read that, it was like a punch in my gut. Because if I'm honest, I'm a recovering workaholic. I am. I like being busy. I like having some kind of kudos, some level of recognition. I like to do projects and keep going. Chances are, if you have met me before, you probably get the impression that I'm quite busy. People say to me all the time, "Oh, John, you're busy. You're busy." Truth is, I'm more distracted than busy. Yes, I've got things to do. Yes, work never ends. I can keep going forever and ever, but I'm more distracted. I've got things here and things there. I've got family commitments and work commitments and leisure things that I want to do. There are so many TV shows that I want to watch. There are so many books that I want to read. So many movies I haven't seen yet. So many things somebody was talking about the other day that I wanted to go and see. So many bars and restaurants and pubs I haven't been to yet. There is never-ending things to do, and I am overwhelmed by it. Does that sound familiar? Yeah, there's a few nods. Okay. But the thing is, and the thing I've come to realize over the last few years, there is an antidote that was built in from the creation of the world, right from the very beginning, and it is called Sabbath. God created the world, and on the seventh day, he rested. So the rest of this talk, we're going to do two things. I'm just going to do a history of Sabbath throughout the Bible. We're going to kind of jump around throughout the Old Testament and into Jesus. And then we're going to talk about what Sabbath actually looks like. You all right, Cara? Oh, the shredder's got stuck. Oh, don't open it. It's going to go everywhere. Oh, okay. The shredder has stuck. Hold on. No, don't put more in it. No. Okay, put that down. Right. Oh, if I pull that out, is that going to... Oh, it's moving. It's moving. That's a bit of a no, it stopped. Do you know what, Cara? Just don't. Okay, yeah. Or just tip it out. That'll work. Do you know what? I think we'll leave it. I think it's fine. Let's pop it down. It's kind of. Oh, it's moving again. You're right. Well, we'll stop it. Leave it there. Thank you, Cara. Round of applause for Cara, please. Do you know, in preparation for this talk, I timed filling that shredder, like over and over again. And coincidentally, every time it overheats and cuts out about 6 minutes. Interesting, isn't it? 6 minutes, do more than 6 minutes worth of work and it dies. Interesting parallel there. Thank you, Cara. Brilliant. So let's do a quick overview of Sabbath. Tom did a brilliant job right at the beginning in Genesis 2:2-3. By the seventh day, God had finished the work he'd been doing. So on the seventh day, he rested from all his work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy because on it he rested from all the work of creating that he had done. Brilliant. God didn't need a rest because he was tired, as Tom rightly pointed out. God rested to delight and enjoy the things that he had made. He stopped and delighted. Stop and delight. And interestingly, it says that God blessed the seventh day and made it holy. There are three things in the creation story that are blessed. The animals were blessed, and they were blessed to be fruitful and multiply and cover the earth. The people were blessed to be fruitful and multiply and cover the earth. And a day was blessed. The seventh day, the Sabbath, was blessed. And maybe that's to be fruitful and cover the earth. The seventh day, a place in time to rest and delight. Interesting. So then we jump forwards in time. The Israelites have escaped from Egypt as a nation. They were under Pharaoh. They didn't have a day off. They worked 7 days a week collecting straw to make bricks, to build Pharaoh's storehouse city. Do you know the Israelites, they weren't building a nice palace for Pharaoh. They were building a whole new city to be used as storage for the overflow of stuff that Pharaoh already had. Consumption and production. They had no rest. They kept working and working and working to produce more and more and more for a king that didn't have enough production and consumption. And so they've come out of Egypt. They're in the desert. Moses goes up the mountain and God gives Moses 10 commandments. And for Exodus 20, 8 to 11 is the Sabbath day. Now, interestingly, in the 10 commandments, there are, funnily enough, 10 of them. The Sabbath command is the fourth, and it's right in the middle there. And the Sabbath command takes up about 30% of the text of the 10 commandments. It's 30%. That makes you think that the Sabbath command is reasonably important. It's a big chunk of that short passage to obey the Sabbath. And some scholars have pointed out the first 3 of those commands are how we love God, how we relate to God. Love God, Lord your God, have no idols, honor him. The first 3 are about God. The last 6 are about others. Loving God, loving others. That sounds familiar from somewhere. So you've got 10 commandments, but the one in the middle is the Sabbath. And it says, remember the Sabbath day, keeping it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. On it you shall not do any work, neither you, nor your son or daughter, nor your male or female servant, nor your animals, nor any foreigner residing in your towns. And this is the only command that has a reason behind it. It's got a qualifier statement on the end. It says, because, or for, in 6 days the Lord made the heavens and the earth, the sea, and all that is in them. But he rested on the 7th day. Therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and made it holy. This was new for the Israelites at this time. They had worked 7 days a week, day in, day out. They did not have a rest. And now they are told God created a day of rest. They are to keep it as a command. Okay. Then we jump to Deuteronomy. At the end of Moses' life, he gathers the Israelites together again and he repeats the 10 commandments. He gives it to them again. This time, though, that same Sabbath command, he changes that ending statement. This is a new generation. They've been born in the desert. They've grown up through the desert. They don't remember Egypt. They don't remember that cycle of production and consumption. So Moses gives them this command of Sabbath. It's the same command in the same language. But at the end, he says, remember that you were slaves in Egypt and that the Lord your God brought you out of there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord your God has commanded you to observe the Sabbath day. This generation needed a reminder because they don't remember Egypt. They needed a reminder that they need to rest. It is a command, something they are to do every single week. Okay, then hundreds of years later, the nation of Israel and Judah is invaded. Everyone's dragged off to Babylon because they haven't followed God's laws and God's angry. 2 Chronicles 36:21, just a small verse, but it implies, because of the words of Jeremiah, that the Israelites were exiles. They were taken out of their land and away because they had not kept the Sabbath. It says this is the Message version. It says, this is exactly the message of God that Jeremiah had preached. The desolate land put to an extended Sabbath rest, a 70-year Sabbath, making up for all the unkept Sabbaths. So because the people did not keep the command, because they didn't have that cycle and rhythm of rest, God forced them into exile and rest. And then after the exile, over hundreds of years, the Jews created what's called the Talmud, which is the basis for all the codes of Jewish law, and it's still in use today. It's like additional rules on top of the 10 Commandments to help Jews accidentally not break the 10 Commandments. They're extra laws and rules to help them in their day-to-day living. And the Talmud identifies 39 categories of activity that are prohibited on the Sabbath day, on that 7th day. They're not allowed to do them. There's things like sowing and reaping and weaving and building and baking and lighting a fire. There's categories of things that they decided to make sure they didn't break that Sabbath again. You mustn't do these things on the Sabbath. Enter Jesus. Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God, a rabbi, a teacher who was popular, who people followed, had a very different view of the Sabbath. He observed the Sabbath. We have stories of him going into the synagogues on a Sabbath day, of going to the temple on a Sabbath day, of eating with people and hosting and going to houses. He would have known the strict rules of the Talmud, but he set a new and refreshing template for what Sabbath looks like. He said, "Are you tired? Are you worn out? Are you burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me. Work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." Those are the words of Jesus. And Jesus was criticized by the religious leaders of the day for not keeping the Talmud as they perceived it. He was accused of being drunk, being a drunkard, because he celebrated so much with his friends. We may have an image of Jesus as quite a dour, serious character. When you read the text of the New Testament, you understand, actually, Jesus and his disciples were celebrating a lot of the time. They were feasting, they were drinking. Jesus' sermons are full of little humorous anecdotes and little asides, witty comments and things which sometimes get missed in our translation. Jesus was a joy to be around, and he had a new idea for what Sabbath looked like. But he was criticized for his disciples picking grain. They were walking through a field one Sabbath day, and his disciples were hungry, and they picked some grain and they ate it as snacks. That was forbidden, according to Talmud. And the Pharisees criticized Jesus. He performed various healings and miracles on the Sabbath in total defiance to the religious teachers, because he said it is lawful to do good on the Sabbath. Why should good healings not be done on a day of rest and holiness? But the Pharisees thought he was breaking the law. And he said to them in Mark 2, 27 to 28, "The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. The Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath." That's a phrase which is sometimes hard to understand because it's not how we would say things these days. So to paraphrase, to be clear, this is my paraphrase, this isn't a scholar's paraphrase, but Jesus is saying, Sabbath is a gift for you. A day of rest is a gift for you. It's not a task to tick off or an achievement to earn, as the Pharisees were trying to do. And Jesus has the ultimate authority over this day. Jesus is Lord of the Sabbath. So, what have we learned through our quick whistle-stop tour of Sabbath in the Bible? Number one, God did it first. God set a day of rest to delight in the things that he had made. Number two, it's a command. It's not an optional thing. Do you know what? There's no command in the Bible to read your Bible regularly or to pray, although Jesus does encourage us to pray. He says we should do that all the time, but it's not a command. But keeping a Sabbath is a command. It's interesting. It's an act of resistance. Now, I didn't mention this before, but Walter Brueggemann, who's a scholar, he wrote a whole book called Sabbath as Resistance. And he says, the celebration of Sabbath is resistance because it is a visible insistence that our lives are not defined by the production and consumption of commodity goods. When we step out of the day-to-day hustle and grind, we are making a statement that we are not defined by that culture. When you stop, it is an act of resistance towards the powers and the principalities of this world. Sabbath is resistance. It's an act of defiance. An act of defiance against the things that draw us away from Jesus. So Sabbath is resistance to the dominant patterns and culture of this world. Number 4, Jesus did it. Jesus kept Sabbath, and we are apprentices of Jesus. Throw back to the very first Sunday of this year when I did the talk opening this series of things we didn't learn in school, and I talked about apprenticeship. I talked about being an apprentice to Jesus. Discipleship means apprenticeship. We are to learn from the Master. Jesus did it. We are to do it. We should look at the life and examples and the teachings of Jesus and put it into practice in our own lives. Jesus did Sabbath. We should do Sabbath. And lastly, as Jesus said, the Sabbath is a gift. It is a gift to bring you delight and joy. Can I get an amen? Now, this is all well and good. This is a great list. These are reasons why we should keep Sabbath. But I bet for many of you, Sabbath has been a mixed experience so far. I estimate if you're in one of the older generations, you can remember a time when our culture in our nation observed the Sabbath as a more formal thing. There were Sunday trading laws that were much stricter. Shops couldn't open. You couldn't buy and sell on a Sunday, or a Sabbath day. And so Sabbath was a bit more strictly observed, but it was more about legalism and following rules in those days. Now, your experience may be different. If you're of a younger generation, then it's probably likely that all you've ever experienced is the internet and always-on culture where you can buy and sell and get anything you like. And you can order something on your phone and get it delivered within a few hours or the next day. Your experience has been very different. And so I'm looking around this room and I'm thinking, all of us have had a different experience of Sabbath. And so we really need to reset and understand what Sabbath is like for us today. How do we do Sabbath? So to quote Pete Scazzero from the Emotionally Healthy Leader and Emotionally Healthy Spirituality stuff, he says, biblical Sabbath is a 24-hour block of time in which we stop work, enjoy rest, practice delight, and contemplate God. There's 4 elements to Sabbath. Stop, rest, delight, and contemplate. Let's put those up. Stop, rest, delight, and contemplate. First of all, stop. This is the hardest thing of all. In our culture, to stop. There's always something to do. My weekends are usually loading the dishwasher, unloading the dishwasher, putting the washing on for the school stuff, taking the washing out, putting it in the dryer or putting it on the line. Maybe mowing the lawn, popping down to get some food because we've run out of bread. What else do I need to do? Usually got a long list of tasks, and I bet yours are the same. And let me be clear, a Sabbath is not the same thing as a day off. A day off is great. That's when you can get all your tasks done. A Sabbath is where you stop work, both paid work and voluntary work, and the things you have to do. On a Sabbath, we should not be paying bills. We should not be doing the food shop. We should not be running errands. We should not be watching the clock to do things by certain times. Sabbath is a stop, a full stop. No paid work, no voluntary work, no tasks. Stop. And if you are like me, that is a ridiculously hard thing to imagine. How? How do we stop? As I said, I'm a recovering workaholic. How do we stop? There's always something more to do. Always something more to do. But Sabbath is a stop. We cease all work. Clear your schedule. It's going to take planning. To have a Sabbath is going to take planning. The Jews celebrate Sabbath on a Friday night. From about 6 p.m. on a Friday night, they'd light a candle, gather around the table, enjoy a meal together, and have 24 hours of Sabbath. When the Christian church grew, the Sabbath, the holy day, the day of rest, was moved to a Sunday to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. So Christians generally celebrate Sabbath on a Sunday, which is why we meet here today and have church here and now. So this could be part of your Sabbath. And the Jews have a Friday. Some people, because of the nature of their patterns of living and work, enjoy Sabbath on another day. Tom pointed out that at the moment, if you can't do a full 24 hours, then look for Sabbath moments. Time in your week you can set aside to stop, with the aim of working towards a full day of Sabbath at some point in the future. But that's the first thing, is we must stop and then rest. Now, rest might look different for different people. Tom had a whole load of different activities which could be restful for you. Your rest might be mowing the lawn. My rest is not mowing the lawn. Your rest might be baking. My rest is not really baking, although I'll quite happily eat the products that you make. That would be nice. Your rest may look different. Rest. Engage in activities that restore and replenish you. Sleep. Go slow. Have a lie-in. Ignore the clock. Do fun things. Take deep breaths. Get into nature. Enjoy. Rest. Are you getting the message? Now, there are some activities which you may enjoy, which may not be restful and good for you. As a general example, TV and video games. A lot of us enjoy doing those things. I enjoy that as well. I've got a long list of things I want to watch on TV. But I've had to realize that sitting down and watching a screen in isolation, without connecting to my family or other people, is probably not life-giving in the way that other activities are. So although it's an activity that I enjoy, it may not actually be restful in the sense of Sabbath. You need to decide what things bring you life and energy and restore your soul to a place where you can breathe deeply and connect with God and those around you. Rest. Delight. And I love this. Delight. Think about the things that bring you joy. What do you absolutely love doing? Having a coffee with a friend, having a catch-up, doing an activity together, spending time with your family, being in the garden, going for a walk in nature, having a nap in the afternoon. For me, the things that I delight with doing will be something like getting up late, having a big fry-up breakfast, having a quiet time with a cup of coffee, a chance to quietly pray, to read. I love reading. I read a lot of books. Maybe get out in nature and go for a walk, possibly a run, although not to overexert myself. I need to rest after all. What things that delight you? Sport and exercise can bring joy, but again, that can bring conflict and competition. So maybe think about what sports you can enjoy. But what do you delight in doing? And if you're in a family unit, what does your family enjoy doing? You may have different ideas, but where does that cross over? Usually around a dinner table, I would suggest. Get a takeaway. Cook a meal. Do something that brings delight to you all. If you're all engaged and active, why not watch a movie together if that's something everybody enjoys doing? Go out, do something, connect with other people. Invite people to your home and cook a meal for them if hospitality brings you joy. Do things that bring delight to you, to others around you, and to your Father in heaven. And lastly, contemplate. A Sabbath is not just a time for you to have a nice day. Although that's great. You will have a nice day. It is fun. It is exciting and restful and delightful, but it is also to connect with Jesus and your Father in heaven, God. Contemplate. Contemplate God. If your Sabbath is a Sunday like today, maybe you need to rethink about church. I know for a lot of us, church is something we do because we're Christians and we come here, and it's sometimes reasonably enjoyable. You might enjoy one of the songs we sang this morning. This talk was great for the first 10 minutes and now it's dragging on a bit. You weren't supposed to laugh there. Church, let's be honest, doesn't always bring you delight and joy. So how about we reframe it? If we think of church as part of our Sabbath day, as part of connecting with God, as part of connecting with others, of bringing joy and delight and resting together in His presence, then actually church can be a delight. It can be a delight. Let's reframe how we think about church as part of our Sabbath and make it delightful so that we can connect with God. And it's probably worth saying that Sabbath can be very uncomfortable to start with. If you are not used to stopping, like me, if your soul is so busy and tired and haggard that when you do stop, you may find it is painful and emotional. You may feel sad. You may find emotions coming to the surface that you have not let yourself feel because you've been so busy. So when you first start this Sabbath thing, don't be surprised if it is emotional, possibly painful, but let that sit with God. Be in His presence. Bring it to Him. Think on Him and His delights and pass it over. So there we go. Right. So stop, rest, delight, contemplate. That is what a true Sabbath is all about. It's about connecting with God. It's about connecting with others. And if we don't do this, we're in danger. Rabbi Abraham Heschel said this: unless one learns how to relish the taste of Sabbath while still in this world, unless one is initiated in the appreciation of eternal life, one will be unable to enjoy the taste of eternity in the world to come. Ouch. Unless we learn to relish the taste of Sabbath while we're still in this world, we will be unable to enjoy the taste of eternity in the world to come. That's the danger for us if we don't grasp hold of this gift of Sabbath that God has given us. But if we do, in his book, Sabbath, Dal Allender wrote this. He said, "The Sabbath is an invitation to enter delight. The Sabbath, when experienced as God intended, is the best day of our lives. Without question or thought, it is the best day of the week. It is the day we anticipate on Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, and it's the day that we remember on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Sabbath is the holy time where we feast, play, dance, have sex, sing, pray, laugh, tell stories, read, paint, walk, and watch creation in all its fullness." Sabbath is the best day of the week. So we're going to respond to this morning. I'll invite the band back up. We're going to play. Now this is a strange thing to do, to respond to the idea of a day off, on your day off. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend a few moments to reflect on this. Let's put this stop, rest, delight, and contemplate back on the screen. There we go. So, if you're able to and want to, I'd invite you to stand. Yes, please. If you don't want to, you can stay sitting. We're going to play some music, but we're not going to sing any words for a couple of minutes. What we're going to do together is we're going to think on this. We're going to imagine that we're taking a Sabbath day next week. Let's imagine next Sunday, the 23rd of July, I believe, next Sunday is our very first 24-hour Sabbath day in a long time. Let's imagine that. What is that day going to look like? You need to plan for it. There is no way you're going to turn up next Sunday and suddenly have no things on your agenda and nothing to do and nowhere to be and nowhere to go. So you need to plan for it. How are you going to stop? What are you going to do to rest? And I recognize if you have children, this is a challenge. Whether they're young or old, how do you rest with your children? What activities can you find that draw you together, where you can do delight between you and together? There's no easy answer, but we need to think. We need to plan. What are you going to do to bring rest to you next week? What are you going to do to bring delight? What is going to be joyous? What will bring laughter? Who are you going to connect with that is going to make you laugh? How is church going to feel when you turn up expectant to meet with God and delight in Him? How is that different from today? And how are you going to spend your time throughout that day doing these things, contemplating God? You may want to spend time in prayer and worship, or you may just want to connect God, to think about Him and the things that you're doing. All the activities on the Sabbath should be restful and bring glory to God. Rest and glory to God. So I'm going to stop talking. We're going to spend 2 minutes for you to think about stop, rest, delight, and contemplate. Let's do that now.